Hey guys, it's been a little while. It's been really busy with the opening up of level 3 and also just everyone getting back to business, but we are still equally committed to sharing very practical conversations and insight with our industry partners. I'm very pleased today to welcome Denver from Leap. Denver, you're going to tell us a little bit more about Leap, and I think it always comes better, but long-standing partner with Smart Procurement, and especially what we've just loved with what they do with corporates is their innovative way that they support enterprise supplier development and small business in the country. They almost quite boutique and niche. It's not one size fits all, and I'm not saying that just because they're our partner. I promise you they're not paying me for this. They really, really do fantastic stuff. And today, Denver joins us on an interesting conversation that we've been having around kind of just more the administrative side of BE, which they've been pulled into, obviously, when they go into ESD programs. And, you know, for our small businesses listening to today's podcast or vlog, always get it wrong, really, it's, you know, any inefficiencies in the way that a program is managed in a corporate does affect your program and your support. So something that we really want to share on the SME Clinic, and for all our procurement followers, I think you're going to find this very interesting. Denver, welcome.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Great to be on.
Lovely, lovely. So tell us a little bit about your role in supporting small business.
All right, so in your introduction, you mentioned there, me just giving you just a very quick summary of LEAP, which is an acronym for Lean Enterprise Acceleration Programs. So essentially what we do and what we started, the genesis of our business, was all about how do we effectively support and build SMEs in South Africa. Obviously, it's we look at enterprise and supply development, which corporates are kind of mandated to do, is to support Black-owned businesses through monetary or non-monetary contributions. And so what we do there is when corporates are looking for beneficiaries or they're wanting to know how to spend their net profit after tax on SMEs. Where do you find these SMEs? What are we going to do with them? That's where we come in. We have, and you rightfully said, you've rightfully said that we do not have a one-size-fits-all kind of approach to it. So what we do is that we do some deep dive business assessments and personality assessments and so forth before we start any program. So our business started off very much on developing SMEs. We've grown over the years, and we now are looking at preferential funding loans as well. We're looking at in the future we're looking at skills development, and we have we basically, I think, ultimately would want to eventually service all the elements on BEE, but we've grown obviously from just doing enterprise supply development, and right now we are looking at how can we make the management of BEE easier? How do we take that cumbersome load of administration and just streamline things and make it easy for our clients? And that's where and I think this is probably the where this conversation is going to be focused more on around getting the right tools to manage your BE. I mean, BE is not everybody. If you're like me, many people do not like admin, and I can't stand admin. And so whatever I could use to help me with that, it's always welcome, and that's what we want to, and that's what we're bringing into the industry right now.
Denver, and this is, you know, you and I were chatting, and that's why I wanted to share this, and it's what we see with our partners, our corporate clients that are committed to supporting small business, but at the same time, you know, most of them are having probably to do it over and above their day-to-day job and within the procurement space. What are the kind of challenges you see that clients are facing when they need to just keep a handle and really correctly administer their BE process from A to Z?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, it's an administrative job, and you have a lot of stakeholders having to do this. So you have, for instance, on procurement, if you look at the different elements on your BE, one of them is preferential procurement. So procurement need to play their role. HR needs to play their role, because there we're going to be talking about who do we hire, how do we make up our management, how do we make up our employees, the demographics of our employees. So there are a lot of people who need to come to the party. And what I've seen amongst a lot of our clients and people we've been speaking to is that it's very hard to bring everything together. It's very hard to make sure that everybody is bought into the vision of the company and what they want to achieve through Black economic empowerment. And often people, for argument's sake, if you deal with procurement, I'm not saying every company is like this, but sometimes one of the challenges would be that me as a transformation manager, I'm trying to get our preferential procurement score up, but procurement they're used to buying from particular suppliers, and they don't really want to change. So you often have this conflict when it comes to skills development. There's an enormous amount of information you need to capture, understanding the different elements. What is a learnership? What is a internship? What can we? Where can we get better points? How can we support our staff better? It's a lot of elements and a lot of things that you got to think about when you do that. And so what I've seen is that a lot of people are just battling sometimes to get everything together and get it streamlined, making sure that they deliver on what they've planned. Because you see, when you do BE, you always have a plan that you're wanting to achieve. So, for one company, they might want to go from a level 7 to a level 6 or a level 5. How do we do that? And so they need to be able to predict quite accurately, because remember, this costs money. They're going to have to spend money. And you don't want to go to your board or your FD and say, listen, all that money you've given me, actually, it didn't work out. So how do we better plan? How do we better predict? How do we better implement on our plans in order for us to achieve what we want to achieve? So so those are often the complexities that people are working with. And if you don't have a decent piece of a decent tool to do that, you're going to find it very, very hard. And what happens then is that the people working with BE, it becomes a grudge thing, because it's this massive thing that I've got to implement in the company, and people aren't playing their parts, and I'm losing information because we're doing it on an Excel spreadsheet or whatever, or the software that we did buy is not calculating properly. So all of that becomes a bit of a nightmare. And that is what I've been seeing.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think on our side, because we're supporting small business and we will be part of any ESD program with many of our partners, there does seem to be this rush of and paperwork, but almost in my mind, almost too last minute. And no organization is alone in that. And I presume there must be, and BE's been around for a while, there must be ways to better manage that and to almost consistently manage it, so that when you're getting to your audit time, you're almost done the work by that stage. Is that possible?
That's exactly. So the idea is that what you're looking for is that you're looking for something that can help you plan and accurately plan, so that you're not surprised at the end of your financial year, to implement accordingly. You're looking for something that is going to help you make decisions. You're looking for something that you can load up different scenarios as well. I mean, we're sitting in a situation now where the effects of the lockdown due to the threat of COVID-19 has has impacted most of our businesses here in South Africa. So a lot of the variables of the financials and so forth, that has all been impacted. So you might have planned that you're going to around enterprise supply development. Remember, they need to spend 3% of the net profit after tax. You know, that 3% net profit after tax has now obviously come down for a lot of companies. And so you want different scenarios, but you want to know that whatever scenario that, or whatever goal that you've agreed on, that you're working towards that goal in a systematic way. And that's why we launched our BE administrator, is to help companies do that, you know, so they can plan better. You know, if you don't have a plan and you're not working towards that plan, it's all about a plan and executing that plan. And this is what a BE administrator like ours would help you do. But it would really, I mean, I've been talking to some of our technicians and so forth, and some of my colleagues. In many cases, what would take you a few months to do, you could now do. If it took you 3 months in the past, some of the things that you can do on our system can take you 3 clicks now. You know, so you're looking for something that in real time is tracking your progress. You know, you don't need and don't want surprises. That can often lead to a loss of enormous amount of money if you are going to be surprised, because you're just kind of gambling with your BE and hoping that everything will work out.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head, and I know you know, there's a variety of tools out there, but really that what the tools, and that's what you're saying, you've developed, needs to be very flexible. I mean, COVID, sorry to belabor a point, but really showed us that we need to be quick with technology to make quick decisions. And
right.
The reality is, if the money's not there, the company can't spend on extra programs. So they need to be able to look at a variety of scenarios and be able to report to Exco very quickly with true information. So it is imperative to have a good, sophisticated system that at 3 clicks can give you the best option.
Exactly. And the thing is this, is that when you when you're planning, you know, your BE and you set your goals, very, very important is being able to monitor and collect the relevant information. You see, what often happens that if you don't have a system like ours, what often happens that you could be doing things that you could actually be scoring points on, but because you didn't collect the evidence, you can't get those points. All right. So for instance, some people might be working, and I'm going back to enterprise supply development again. So some departments or someone might be working in the company trying to get their ED or ESD score up, enterprise supply development score up. So they work many hours on that, collecting information and spending money, but they forget that they themselves, their work that they do, and the hours that they spend, their time, that is also enterprise development or supply development. So there are many, so people who use our system, what they find is that just by entering, just by collecting, or rather just by noting what they are doing, they're already scoring points because there's a monetary value to whatever they're doing. You know,
so the system
so that is
prompting a better sort of compliance and accounting of time and effort towards ESD.
Exactly. So, for instance, we have a sort of a timer on our system where it's so if you work on the system and you're doing something on the system, right, it could calculate the amount of time that you've spent on that element. All right. And that itself, based on your salary and so forth, that can, depending on the element, can actually contribute towards your final spend. And often we don't know that because we're kind of just working and making sure that we're giving a grant somewhere, or we trying to do some early payments, but we forget there are other things that can contribute towards our score. That's what a system like ours does. Is that it really will boost. I can safely say that people using a system like ours is going to boost their points without even knowing that in the past they could have gotten points for certain things that they're doing, and that's the beautiful thing. So by doing it that way, you're actually optimizing, using a system to help you increase your points as well. But remember that BEE is not the points is just a guide, and you get rewarded the points. We mustn't lose the focus here that ultimately the intent is not about the points, but we're not going to also turn a blind eye that it's also about compliance as well. So it's two things, and that's why we believe this is very strong with at Leap, is if when it comes to beneficiaries on ESD, if the beneficiary wins, the corporate also wins.
Correct.
That's how South Africa wins.
Yeah.
It's not just about the beneficiary, which it is also about the beneficiary, but it's also about the corporate as well, and they get rewarded on their BEE to help them trade better. So we must never lose that.
Well, I think one of the things you mentioned about your system specifically was the multiple scenario planning that you could look at. And I think often, and again, we know this happens, it's not great, but it does. Financial year end, one day before that end, and someone says, I need to spend X because I've just done my one scenario planning and I'm short. And then it does become about just spreading the money instead of in a program in a way that the beneficiary does benefit, as opposed to I've just So I think that's what, we've known Leap for a long time, and yourself also, that's really why you've got to have the right tools to make sure that you're delivering to the intent of the codes, and not just, okay, the system says I must spend R1 at D day of my financial year end. Let's make sure it's spent quickly, but there's no purpose to it.
That often happens with smaller companies who need to comply. So if you're looking at a QSC, a qualifying small enterprise, a company turning over less than 50 million a year, often what happens is that their cash flow might not be as liquid as a bigger company. So what happens is that they do want to wait till the last minute. And, in some circumstances, unfortunately, that's where they're going to go. That's how they're trying to manage their spend. What we're trying to do is that we're saying to you, look, give you an example. I once had a client who needed to spend, I think it was 1.4 million rand on enterprise supply development. But suddenly they had to spend that amount of money at the financial year end. And then when speaking to them, what I said to them for the new financial year, let's take your forecast and we break it into quarters. And what happens then is that as you spend quarterly, you're not sitting with this massive 1.4 million at the end of the financial year. And also it's much better as well that you break it down into the 4 quarters. It helps you with your cash flow as well, but also supporting the businesses that you want to support. It's much better because you can put them into a more substantial a program that's more fitted to that particular.
Yeah. Development.
Exactly. So
development is progress, and you can't.
Correct.
That, Enterprise suppliers.
Exactly.
Guys.
Development. That's what it's about. Exactly. So those are the kind of things. But now with the system, this is how it helps you. Because at the end of the day, if you want a decent BEE score and you want to be competitive, you want to do the right thing. All right. I'm talking purely from a compliance. And so a system will help you do that.
Yeah.
But where a system also helps you, because remember, it's also about the South African economy, is for you to help you also track what you are doing. So you can report better to your shareholders as well. This is what the money is doing. This is the impact that we're creating. All right. These are our plans. I mean, imagine going in and being able to speak to your shareholders and your board and say, listen, look, this is the amount of money we want to spend. And if we spend this amount of money, this is what the level, the recognition level that we are going for. Everybody is then in on the game. And that's a report you can do in your scenario planning from the first month already. You don't have to wait. You don't have to do things retrospectively. So that is why we say it is so good. That's where our BE administrator is just so strong.
That's fantastic, Denver. I think you've really answered a need in the market. And I know you and I can talk for hours on this. And I know our followers will also agree on a lot of this. But in the 4IR, in fact, some people are saying we're in 5IR. We got butt kicked into that. Excuse me saying that, but we really thanks to COVID. Even our grannies are learning Zoom. And yeah,
Yeah.
a system is about efficiency and innovation, and we cannot ignore having the right tools. So thank you for sharing that. I hope that our followers will get benefit out of this. And if you guys would like to know anything more, details below for Leap if you want to contact Denver directly. Otherwise, direct message me and I'll link you up. And any questions you have, and we're really just looking forward to showing some other case studies and etc. with you over the next few weeks. So watch this space and stay safe, stay well. Denver, thank you so much for visiting us today, and just for
Yeah,
the
no, thank you very
conversation.
much. Yeah, no, thank you very much to everybody. And just on that notice, we have weekly sort of demos on our BA administrator, which anybody is free to come on, and they contact me. I can send them a link to register. We're very excited about it, and this opportunity to speak to everybody about it is very exciting. But you will see why, compared to our competitors, why we've launched BA administrator, because it'll be surprising to you to see what we have done better and why we are pushing it.
Fantastic. We'll also share the link in the bio below. So all the best. Thanks so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Debbie.